The end of year sale keeps on going. Today we are taking a look at games under 14 bucks on the PlayStation Store end of year sale promotion that's going on at the moment. I don't normally do a video under $14. Normally it's under 5, under 10, under 20, but there was a ton of games that fitted into a category that wasn't being captured by any of those other price points. So I decided, let's make a video about this. These games here aren't all 14 bucks. Most of them are actually cheaper than that. And some of these, they haven't been cheaper than this on the PlayStation Store. Some of them, we have had better deals for them. But let's have a look at the games. Hey folks, if you're a new viewer of the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below. I make new videos about PlayStation every single day on the channel, so make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date. Today we are looking at games under 14 bucks on the PlayStation Store end of year sale. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these games are either special edition, game of the year edition, SKUs of the game, so they are a little bit more expensive than maybe the standardized edition. And that is actually the case for pretty much all the videos in this sale as well. But you do normally get a bunch of additional content, whether it be themes, avatars, that sort of basic content, to literally getting full DLC or season passes included. But keep an eye on it, because you might be paying a little bit more, but you could be getting a ton of extras, or you could be getting a ton of junk. So it's worth checking it before you go and purchase anything. Let's have a look at the first game on this list. The first one is Dragon Age Inquisition. Now this game has been cheaper on the PlayStation Store before, but it's 10 bucks, or it's $10.79. It's a great game for 10 bucks, and that's why it's worth calling out. Now, like I said, this isn't the cheapest this game has ever been, but for 10 bucks, it's an amazing Western RPG game developed by BioWare, probably one of the best in the Dragon Age series. How to describe this in like one sentence is, it's a Western fantasy RPG. Think along the lines of Skyrim, but in third person, and you've kind of got this. Dragon Age, obviously the sister franchise to Mass Effect, which is both developed by BioWare, and this is kind of from when BioWare was at its peak and at its prime, before the Mass Effect Andromeda saga and the Anthem saga and all of those games. Dragon Age, absolutely worth checking out. Great price point for this one, and this is the Game of the Year edition as well, so that's worth keeping in mind. Next up we have Injustice Gods Among Us 2 Legendary Edition. So this does come with a bunch of extra content as well. Again, Injustice 2 has been cheaper than 12 bucks on the store, but this does come with extra content to kind of bolster it out. So while it's not the hottest price, it is adding additional value. Injustice 2 being a fighting game from the developers who make the Mortal Kombat series of games. If you're into fighting games, you probably already checked this one out when the game probably launched. If you haven't, and you're not into fighting games, but you're into comic book type stuff, Injustice 2 has one of the best comic book stories out of any game I have played. You know, it's not Marvel's Spider-Man, but it does have a fantastic original story for this game that plays out really nicely through cutscenes. The narrative of the game plays out in really cool ways, switching between characters and telling that story along the way. And I'm not a massive fighting game guy, and I'm honestly not even a massive comic book guy, but I was hooked on this story, and I played through from beginning to end just to find out what happened, because it was that good. Next up we have Dishonored 2 for $12. I'm gonna have to be honest here, and I'm not the biggest Dishonored fan. I played the first one, and I really just didn't quite get it. The game to me always felt like it was trying to be a lot like BioShock and Thief, and kind of trying to do this open world stealth action, but not quite as good as BioShock, and I sort of just couldn't quite grasp why and what makes this game so special. But I know a lot of people are massive fans of the Dishonored franchise. This is a Bethesda published title, so it has a Bethesda feel to it, if that makes sense. Developed by Arcane, which is actually a really talented studio that developed Prey, as well as the other Dishonored games. They're currently working on another game that escapes me at the moment. I'm sure someone will let me know in the comment section down below. First person stealth action series of games. I'm sure that there'll be someone in the comments who will come and vouch for this one. I know it's a super popular title, reviewed very well. Personally, it wasn't my cup of tea, but for 12 bucks, you know, it's 70% off. I think it's worth mentioning in a video like this. Now, a game that I can personally vouch for, Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. This is the first Ni no Kuni game that was originally released on the PlayStation 3, and then it got ported as a remake or remaster to the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch. This is $12.49, 75% off. This is the good Ni no Kuni game. This is the one that Studio Ghibli helped produce. It has an amazing gameplay loop. It's a really, really fun JRPG, turn-based JRPG, keep in mind. Ni no Kuni kind of plays very similarly to I would say a Pokemon game, almost. You have these characters that fight against monsters, you know, somewhere in between Monster Quest and Pokemon. I really loved this game on the PlayStation 3. It was an awesome experience. Not only is the animation that features in this game just really good, and so is the narrative as well, despite it being quite sad. It's just a great experience. The gameplay loop as well, super fun. It is a JRPG though, so keep that in mind. If you're into JRPGs, fantastic. This is a great purchase. If you're not into JRPGs, it's a little bit hard to recommend because JRPGs have a particular loop about them that some people love and some people hate. So keep that in mind, and maybe check out some of the trailers and reviews for this game as well. Reviewed incredibly highly when it launched, but great game that I can absolutely vouch for. A very fun experience. Assassin's Creed Origins. Now this was actually one of the reasons I decided to make a video at this price point. This game is $11.99, so it's actually cheaper than it was during the Black Friday PlayStation Store sale. So this game actually works out, you know, a much better deal for this game. I'm not sure if we've seen Origins this cheap on the PlayStation Store before. $12 is an amazing price for a game that you're literally getting 80 to 90 hours worth of content out of. AC Origins was the first Assassin's Creed game when they kind of rebooted the franchise a little bit. This was when they took their hiatus from developing annualized Assassin's Creed games, took a couple of years and came back with Origins. They changed the gameplay loop, they changed the entire style of the game, so it became more of an action RPG versus just sort of an action adventure game. Assassin's Creed obviously being the open world series that it is. Origins and Odyssey though are two completely different games, and same with Valhalla to what it used to be. If you played Assassin's Creed back in the day and you haven't tried out any of these new age Assassin's Creed games, Origins is a great one to start with, probably the best out of those three to be honest, and it's super cheap at the moment as well. Highly recommend checking out Assassin's Creed Origins. Dead by Daylight, this is a game that I tend to recommend pretty much every time it goes on sale because I love this game so much. It's $12. I know this has been free on PlayStation Plus before, and it does get discounted quite frequently along with all of its DLC. It's especially relevant now because not only is the game available on PlayStation 4, but it's also available as a free upgrade to PlayStation 5. So if you purchase this game now, you'll get a free PS5 upgrade out of the game, which means you can get 2 platinums and you can basically play through the game twice, but all your save data will transfer between each of the games. So it's a really good deal. Dead by Daylight being an asymmetrical horror game, one team plays as a survivor and the other team as a killer. Survivors have to fix generators to escape, while the killer has to hook survivors to kill them. It's this sort of cat and mouse with you trying to constantly juggle the generators and escape, and then killer trying to sort of juggle all the survivors and kill them before they do their objective. I love this game not only because it just kind of evokes so much of what makes horror games great, but the randomness of each match just creates this awesome experience of you don't know how the killer's going to be, what kind of abilities they're going to have, what kind of player they're going to be, and just creates these awesome intense moments of horror that are really not found in single player horror games. For perspective, Dead by Daylight is probably my favorite game that came out this entire generation. I know that's probably not a super popular opinion, but I just loved this game so much. I've spent thousands of hours in this game. If I'd picked this game up for $12 and I'd spent the amount of time I spent in it, I'd be looking at a pretty good return on investment for that game. Far Cry 4, this is $11.54. I do believe this game has been discounted further than this. This is the gold edition, so you do get some additional content. But you know, it's $12. It's a Far Cry game. This one here was you know, relatively well received. I mean, it came off the back of Far Cry 3, which was the best Far Cry game available, so big shoes to fill. This one here, you're in the it's the Himalayas, I believe, and you're reclaiming your homeland, I think is the narrative off the top of my head. I didn't do any additional research and I haven't played this game for a number of years. Far Cry is obviously the open world first person mayhem game, I guess, or like it's a Ubisoft check all boxes type game, so you kind of do a bit of everything. Great franchise. If you haven't checked it out before, this one here it's reasonably priced. You know, it's probably a little bit high, but still a really solid game. Far Cry 3 is a little bit cheaper, but that game's been available for like $2 before, so I didn't want to recommend that one, even though it is the better game in the franchise, just because I think it's $10 on the current sale, and I've definitely seen it for $2, so I can't really recommend it at $10 when I know it's been significantly cheaper than that. The last game is The Surge 2. This is the Souls-like, or the futuristic Souls-like game, or the sequel to the futuristic Souls-like game. Surge being the slow, methodical hack and slash game where you're fighting robots instead of monsters. It's a AA game, it's not a AAA game, so if you go into it expecting a budget Souls-like, then you're going to get exactly that. If you go into it expecting, you know, a Bloodborne successor, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Make sure you just manage your expectations when you go in. It's $12.49, it's less than $13. Really good price for this game. It's 75% off. I don't know if I've seen this one cheaper or not on the PlayStation Store, but that's just me. I really enjoyed the Surge games, both of them. They were really fun. Not only did they do Dark Souls does, you know, pretty well with that sort sort of methodical, well thought out combat, but they also kind of push that a little bit further as well by playing around with specific weapon targeting, picking up enemies' weapons or body parts to use as weapons, things like that. Pretty neat concept for a game, and something a little bit different beyond what, you know, the traditional fantasy Souls games do. I don't think there's another sci-fi based Souls type game like this. I don't believe. I'm sure someone in the comment section will be able to correct me, because I don't know every game. Anyway, those are the game deals under $14 on the PlayStation Store end of year deals sale. Some really solid games in here, and some solid deals if you're looking to pick up all the additional content or game of the year packages as well. I do have a couple of other videos coming out about this sale. I've got a video, games under $20 and games under $5, coming out over the next couple of days too. So stay tuned to check those out on the channel. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.
Right.